Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. It is 9 o'clock, and I do not expect us to be here until noon. We have a lot to cover, but I think that we'll be able to get through this pretty quickly. Just a few reminders while you are waiting for us to begin. We are recording. Please keep yourself muted. There will be opportunities to collaborate with others when we move into breakout rooms. We will use the chat box for communication. If you have any questions, there'll be an opportunity to use the chat box to ask. We will also be using Padlet, not only to collaborate, but our resources will be sitting there as well. Be prepared to participate in any polls, and then again, those outside platforms, which will be using Padlet. And do not worry, the resources will be emailed following the session. So you will get a copy of the presentation, you will get a link to the Padlet, everything you need will be emailed to you. So don't worry about trying to take frantic notes, you will get everything following this. So again, welcome to the Title III Parent, Family, and Community Engagement Training. Today's presentation will cover the training requirements that LEAs, which that includes district and charter schools, are required to do in their district or charter school when they're receiving Title III funds. And then we'll look at resources as well. My name is Melanie Yoakum, and I am the ESSA team lead, and I am your contact for English learner support, both compliance and instruction. I have been serving bilingual ESL students and teachers for 23 years. I am in my fourth year at the Service Center and my second year in this role as the ESSA team lead. And I'm excited just about being able to share ideas and to collaborate with everyone. This is a passion of mine. I've spent my entire career supporting this group of students. And so just know that anytime that we come together, it is always very exciting. And I'm just always happy to be here to help you. And I have my new teammate, Gabriel Verone, with me today. And so I'll let Gabriel introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. As Melanie mentioned, my name is Gabriel Verone. I am a bilingual ESL instructional content coach. I am new to the English Learner Support team. I joined in September, and this is my second year at the ESC Region Center. As you can see on the slide, I have been serving bilingual ESL students and teachers for the past 15 years. So Melanie definitely has me beat on knowledge and experience and pretty much everything else. So really happy to be a part of the team and to learn from her. Also really excited to see some familiar faces and to let you know about some new resources that we've been able to create to support you, your families, your students, and also some upcoming resources that are in the works and we should be rolling out over the next couple of months. So really glad to be here and looking forward to a great morning of learning.
Thanks, Gabriel. Don't let Gabriel fool you. He has been a great asset to the team. I was the one-man show, and it's been great to have someone else to collaborate with. And we've been able to do a lot of things that were on my long wish list now that I have a colleague to help in promoting this work. So we have lots on the horizon, and just excited about all the opportunities and the things that we'll be able to do now that we have someone else on the team.
Always remember, always under promise so that you can over deliver. That is the key to success, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Gabriel. All right. So we would like to meet you. I know some of you have already used the chat box to introduce yourselves, but in the chat box, if you could just let us know your name, your district or charter school, and what your position is. This is great for us to know so we know who our audience is. Last year when I did this session, of course, it was face-to-face. We had a variety of stakeholders that came to the training. And so it's just great to know, who do we have in the audience, and so we can make sure that we address all of you. So if you don't mind, just go ahead and use the chat box and let us know who you are. So as Gabriel mentioned too, lots of familiar names. It's always good to see those of you that are repeat participants, especially my bilingual ESL directors and district leaders. Glad to see you here. As well as our parent liaisons. Thank you for attending. You guys will be a great resource to us when we move into the breakout rooms for collaboration, because as the liaison, you have lots of ideas and are already doing lots for your parents and families. And so we'll be excited to hear the ideas that will come from this. Okay, welcome everyone. So we have a variety of districts and charter schools attending here today. So welcome everybody. Again, we're just excited that you chose to spend your morning with us. So here's my disclaimer. Today's presentation is actually not the official TEA presentation, and that is because it has not been released yet. There have been website updates. If you have explored the new portal that was rolled out, there have been updates to the Title III page for engagement. And the training was just announced a couple of weeks ago that it would be in January. And so I already had this training planned, and we were allowed to continue with that training. But please know that once TEA trains us in January, that I'm going to send the PowerPoint presentation to all of you so you have that training. Really, if it looks anything like what the past one did, it's really just going to do go over the resources that are there, and that's what I've planned for us today. We're going to explore what is there for us and plan and collaborate. So I just wanted you to know that today's presentation is not that official one from TEA, but there's no worries with this training. It is that you will officially have been trained on the resources. Just know that it will look different from what TEA releases, as far as probably just the slides and the formatting and such, but the information should be aligned, and I'll send that all back out to you. So just wanted to let you guys know that. I did not want to change 50-something people's schedules. I know many of you here today are very busy, and you've had this on your calendar for a while. And so I hated to interrupt that and cancel and try to plan for January, when we all know once we roll into the spring, it gets extremely busy. So just wanted you to have that information, and I'll make sure and send out that updated presentation to you once TEA releases that to us. Okay, so we're going to start off with a poll, and I want you to rate your LEA. That's LEA is local education agency, so that's district or charter schools. And I want you to really reflect and think about, where are you at when you, in relation to Title III parent, family, and community engagement requirements? Are you at, we struggle to meet these things. And I will tell you, I work a lot with a lot of rural school districts that have 1 or 2 kids. And that's hard to complete the requirements when you only have, a handful of students. But then some of you have thousands of students. And so, some struggle. Do you meet the minimum requirements? So you do, you're able to do exactly what we're asked to do at the minimum. Or do you excel at this? Is this something that, you have spent years building, and it is just something that your LEA really excels at? So I'm going to share a poll with you, and let us know where your LEA is currently at. Okay, so please, the poll has been projected, so please rate where you feel like you are. And again, these are not anonymous, so I don't know who is telling me. Once we give everyone an opportunity to rate themselves, I'll project the ratings just so you can see, with those district and charter schools that we have with us today, where they fall. Right now, it looks like most of us are at meeting that minimum requirement. Still have a few people voting. And the goal of today is to take us a level up, to come together and hear what other LEAs are doing and get ideas of how you can fulfill that requirement. So, if you're at that point of we're really struggling, then the hope is that you leave here today with a few more ideas of how to carry out these requirements in your district or charter school. Okay, looks like so far we have everybody that's voted. And so here are our results. It looks like 72% of us, majority of us, are meeting that minimum requirement for Title III parent, family, and community engagement. And we have 26% of us that are still struggling to meet that for whatever reason. It could be that you're small, you don't have a large population, or you're just struggling because maybe you're the one-man show and it's hard because you're wearing multiple hats. And then we have 3%, that's one of us here today, that says they excel at that. So I hope if you're that one, that you take that opportunity to share with all of us what you're doing to excel, because we hope to learn from that. All right, thanks for rating yourselves. Okay, so where do we even start? The important thing is to know the why. Why are we required to do this? If we receive Title III funding, why do we have to do it? And then explore the how. How do we go about meeting these requirements? And then planning. Planning is extremely important. That way we can plan activities, because if we have planned something, we have communicated that to our family, then let's say it doesn't happen or no one shows up, we can still use that as a part of our evidence that we have made an attempt. So it's very important that we plan out. And if we don't plan, then it's almost like a failing thing, because we have to be able to plan out. We can't just on the spot say, oh, we're going to do this. We really need to be thinking ahead of ourselves. Okay, so where do we find TEA's engagement resources? This is an image of the new Supporting English Learners in Texas website. And I just took a nice little screenshot of that. And you can see where my arrow is pointing. That is where you can find the engagement resources. This is a great site. If you have not had a chance to take a look, there are lots of things. You can always go to the What's New if you're a leader in your district and you need to know about staffing and program implementation, et cetera. It's all there. Teachers, they just released 5 instructional methods for remote learning and teaching. And that is something that I recently put on our Facebook page, as well as our Twitter account. And I'd encourage you to go and check that resource out. And then our leaders, again, there's lots of resources there, but then there's also a section for parents and families. And this is where you could have an opportunity to hold some type of virtual, right now, especially holding a virtual meeting with families and offering, hey, look at all these resources here. So I would encourage you, as we walk through today, to look at what TEA has already provided us and consider, how can I use what they have given us and offer some type of session virtually, or once we move face to face again, and just show families, hey, look at all these things that are here for you. That counts as a part of your Title III requirements. And then the quick links, that's where you'll find that engagement resources site, which you will see throughout the morning. You're going to see images from that, and then we will have an opportunity to explore it as well. So when you move into that page, you will see this image at the top, and you'll notice at the bottom that it has different tabs for you to go to. So this, at our home page, is where we're going to look right now. So I'm going to take you through the pieces on the home page so you can see the why and some of the other resources that are available to you. So the website was created to really assist LEAs as well as ESCs in supporting that work and increasing and strengthening that community engagement or family, parent, and community engagement activities that we want to offer, because the whole goal is to improve English language skills of ELs and to assist our parents and families to help them improve academic achievement, and really be involved in their students' education. Now, many of you do have bilingual programs, whether it be Spanish or Vietnamese or maybe another language. And so, yes, we at the same time, we want to promote biliteracy as well. And so just helping educate our families to help them understand, yes, we want your student to improve in English, the English language, but if your student is participating in a bilingual program, here, let's understand why it's so important for your student to be biliterate. So one big piece of this, and we get lots of questions about this, is families served. These are families that are served by potentially by multiple funding sources. So you have potentially Title I or IDA, or you have Title III. And they can be served by all of those. And this site is really going to focus on Title III funding and what activities were required, to have in our, or to offer in our district, so to increase all of those efforts. But please know that just because I have a student that's being served under Title III, it does not mean that I can no longer, support that student with any other funding, because Title III is supplemental to those other pieces. Oh, sorry. I've everything hyperlinked, and so I have to be very cautious, because when I click on the images, it'll take me there. So I apologize, and it probably won't be the first time or the last time that I do this. So I wanted you, when you get this presentation, I wanted you to be able just to really quickly click on the images you see, and it'll take you there. So I apologize. It will probably happen again. So as we move down the page on the home page, you're going to see this graphic as you go down, and you're going to see parent outreach and trainings, family outreach and training with family literacy services, and our community participation programs. What will happen is you can click on each of these, and it will take you to other resources, which we'll take a look at later. And at the very bottom, they have created this virtual engagement events. And when you click on each of these, it actually gives you a PDF example of things that you can offer in your LEA. All right, so now let's move to Title III, and really that why. Why is it that we're here today listening to this presentation? Why is it that we're required to do these things? So the why. When we look at Title III guidance, this site is going to help support you, especially when you get questions on, why are we having to do this? Especially maybe if your superintendent comes to you, or other district level leaders, or your campus leadership is wondering, why is it that we have to do something separate? Why do we have to do this? Well, this is why. This is a great place to go. Because we can see here in Title III Part A, requires engagement activities, and this resource tool is going to outline what our best practices will be for parent engagement activities, family engagement activities, and our community engagement activities, because all three of those pieces have to be met. It's not just one activity that encompasses all. These are three separate activities that, yes, may be intertwined in multiple ways, but you have to meet each of those. Also, the purpose of this training, as well as knowing why we are required to do this, is a state educational agency may use a subgrant to an eligible entity from funds received by the agency, and they must expend these funds to improve the education of ELs by assisting children to learn English and meeting the challenges of the state academic standards. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but when you receive this funding, you have to carry out these activities. And you can see below in a bold where it lets us know that we shall include parent, family, and community engagement activities. And so this is important to know. And you'll see down, when you do go to the live page, down in the green highlight, you can see clarifying Title III requirements. There is a document that I've already put in here where you can go and you can see, what is it that I have to do even beyond parent, family, and community engagement. There are other activities we have to participate in, but in particular, we have to meet this requirement. So what activities are required? This is the document I was talking about right up here in the top corner. And when you get this presentation, you'll be able to click on it. But this gives you an outline of what is it that we're required, to fulfill based on ESSA Title III. And then I took a screenshot of that section that pertains to our parent, family, and community engagement. And you can see here it says, to provide and implement other effective activities and strategies that enhance or supplement language instruction educational programs for ELs, which shall include parent, family, and community engagement activities, and then may include strategies that support and coordinate and align related programs. And you can see the next box, it lists out those activities that we must do. And that final box, this is where when your federal programs director, which may be you, completed, or in conjunction with you if you are the bilingual ESL director or coordinator, completed that portion of the ESSA consolidated federal application on the Title III section. This is where, if you receiving those funds and that you applied for that grant, then those are the questions that were answered and where that funding is generated from. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at, what are the requirements that parent outreach and trainings. So parent engagement. This includes fostering parent-school relationships and ongoing communication and culturally responsive support. It's also looking at that shared responsibility between parents and schools, and really having that collaboration to seek what's best for academic success of students and families, both individually and collectively. So we all know as educators that it takes a village to support our students, whether they're ELs or not. And so we have to have that partnership with our families. But parent outreach and trainings provided with Title III Part A funds must include activities that clearly go above and beyond activities already funded through other sources. And it gives us an example. A community participation program provided through Title III must be a separate activity from any activity or event that is already funded through another source. So if through Title I or another local funding source, you're providing something, this has to be a separate activity. It must be supplemental to other services available to ELs, parents, and family members. So it has to be above and beyond. I'm sure if you're a federal programs director, you've heard that phrase a lot. And then we must have documentation to support the implementation of that activity. And so that may include the presentations, whether it be the slides, the presenter notes or handouts, the meeting and training agendas, sign-in sheets, and notification of events. These are very, very important. And the reason why, you'll see on each slide, it's going to talk about what documentation is needed, is because should TEA do a random validation on your LEA, they are going to ask for documentation and they want to see that. If you are part of our shared service arrangement, and what that is, that's our SSAs, those are the districts or charter schools that receive 10,000 or less, or even choose beyond that to be a part of our SSA, that we are, in a sense, their fiscal agent, but you guys still carry out this requirement. Now, what happens if you're random validated is we or myself will reach out to you and say, hey, I need the documentation to send in to TEA. We do that on your behalf if you're a part of our shared service arrangement. But we still have to have it. So just know that as you are planning or it's already happened, to make sure you keep documentation. Earlier, I mentioned that should you offer something and families don't show up, and I can remember being in district and sometimes we might have a few and sometimes people wouldn't show up. But we have the documentation to say, hey, we offered this. So just know that although, yes, your efforts to provide something maybe failed, and right now it's definitely going to happen because of the situation we're in with COVID, but keep all of that information with you. So you have the flyer or the emails or whatever it may be to prove that you did offer it. And our second is family outreach and family literacy services. So this could include, again, you're going to see the same language, clearly going above and beyond activities already funded through another source, and it must be a separate activity. It must be supplemental. And then again, it mentions our documentation. So let's say that you have a campus, or as a district or charter school, you offer a family literacy night for everyone. In order to meet this requirement, you would need to do something separate. Now, it could be the same night. It could be that you have sessions that parents can attend, and one of those sessions is specific to English learners. And so you're offering that to that group of families, and that they can come and hear about literacy. Or if it's for, even in conjunction or in combination with that, about literacy and biliteracy. But it has to be separate. It can't just be that we offered a family literacy night, because that happened for everyone. But within that everyone activity, you would need to have something that showed that you did something above and beyond what everybody else got. So something specific to that group. Okay. And then finally, the last piece is that community participation. And again, same language, going above and beyond, being supplemental, and having that documentation. And this one is probably the harder one to accomplish, in my opinion, but I hope that we hear ideas from others and how they're meeting that requirement.
Melanie, can you address the question that's in the chat, please?
Yes. Okay, so one of the questions is, would reading books in Spanish during a literacy night count? It needs to be, it must be a whole another event. Or, well, let me just say this. If it's family literacy night, your flyer or your communication would need to say that we are offering a biliteracy or a Spanish literacy event where you can come and we are reading books in Spanish. But you have to make sure that you have basically called out, separated that piece. And we're not going to get into funding. I know there's going to be lots of questions from you guys about, can we purchase this? Can we do this? I will show you where all that documentation is. Today, we're really focusing on the activities, not particularly all the different funding. If you have a particular funding question, feel free to email me. Also, the Padlet that we'll get to here in a little bit, any of those questions, if you will put in the Padlet, that way I can go back and respond. And when I send the follow-up email, you all can see the answers. So Kathy, thank you so much for that question. When we get to the Padlet, please put that in there. And that way I can go back and address those and put resources in. So we're not going to get deep into the weeds of, can we buy this? Can we do this? Really, it's about what do we offer? How do we go about doing these activities? In particular too, when we're in a virtual world right now. But I do welcome your, those questions about funding, just put them in the Padlet. And that way we can capture all of your questions. And should there a question come in that I don't know the answer to, I can reach out to TEA and make sure that we get that confirmation on what the response would be. All right, guys. Yes, so we'll get to that Padlet here in just a little bit. And once you have access to that Padlet, guys, don't close out that window, because we'll be using it for the remainder of our session. Okay, so let's get to how do we acquire the funds. Although I said we're not going to get deep into the weeds about funding, I do want you to know, how do we even acquire these funds? Some of you on this in this session may not understand how this all works. And I kind of alluded to it here a minute ago. And if you're a federal programs director or a Title III program director or coordinator, then you already know some of this, but let's share with everyone. So what happens is your federal programs director or someone in your district or charter school chooses whether or not they're going to complete an ESSA consolidated application. And ESSA, that's Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. I'm sure I'm missing one, but there's all of those federal programs within the ESSA consolidated application. An LEA goes in and chooses whether or not they're going to accept those funds. And so that's kind of where it all starts. And so the ESSA consolidated grant application states the following under Part 1, and I'm kind of just going to read a little bit to you. So supplemental activities, the parent, family, and community engagement. The following activities are to be supplemental and above and beyond already funded activities that are accessible to ELs and their families through other funding sources. So again, mentioning that parent outreach, family literacy, and community participation. To meet these engagement requirements, the LEA or the ESC fiscal agent, which we are not, even though we're the fiscal agents of the SSA, in our contract with our shared service arrangements, you actually carry out the requirement, but then we ask for any evidence should you be randomly validated. But anyway, must maintain evidence that demonstrates each engagement component was implemented. Okay, so it says, in other words, an LEA or ESC may not host one family literacy night and consider the entire question met. Okay, so that's what I was saying earlier. It can't be one event and we're going to say all those things were met in that one event. These must be 3 separate events. In addition to, and again, this page that you're seeing, you will see this in the live website. But when you click on these green bars, they drop down and expand and you can see this information. So that second bar, what outcomes are expected when meeting these requirements? And so 2 specific outcomes are expected when using Title III funds to implement parent, family, and community engagement activities. And that is to improve English language skills of ELs, and to assist parents and families in helping their children improve their academic achievement and in becoming active participants in the education of their children. And so LEAs and ESCs, ESCs must implement activities that will impact these outcomes and shall maintain evidence. So the big piece, we must implement these 3 separate types of activities, and we must maintain that evidence that we did that and reflect. So we're going to look at the planning document at the end, and that way you can go back and reflect if you choose to use that planning document. Was it impactful? So we offered this, no one showed up. Okay, so let's reflect on why did people not show up? Was it because of childcare? Was it because of the timing? And so really going back and refining and looking at what are areas that we can improve. And so I hope that as you listen to the presentation this morning and you listen to colleagues in this session, that you reflect on what your current practices are and what are some areas that we can improve on. Okay, so this is a nice image that just really helps us understand supplement, not supplant. So Title III Part A funding, supplement. It should be used to enhance, increase, and extend programs and services for our ELs, including our immigrant students. So our immigrant students may or may not be EL. And then supplant, that's local, state, and federal funds. So local or state funds may not be decreased or diverted for other local uses merely because of the availability of Title III. And this is something that I've experienced and hear a lot at this level, is that campuses don't understand and they'll think, oh, well, this student is an EL or is getting Title III, so we're not going to give them support under Title I because they're getting support under Title III. So we cannot do that. Here's another really important piece, especially those of you that do manage the funding. So the BEA, those are the bilingual education allotment, those are your state funds. And your state funds are driven off of your parent permissions. Okay, so your BEA, those funds are driven off the parent permissions that you have. So if your district purchased or paid for an expense using local or BEA funds in the previous year, then they may not use Title III Part A funds for the purchase in the following year. So those of you that are in the role where you're purchasing resources, you're using money to send teachers to PD, whatever it may be, just please make note of this, that if your district or charter school purchased or paid for an expense using local or BEA funds in the previous year, that you cannot use Title III in that following year. It's very important, those of you that are in charge of making purchases or using those funds to keep yourself some type of spreadsheet or some type of tracking system where you know what funding you used. So when we roll into the next school year, you can take a look and see, okay, well, I purchased these books or these resources, or I sent teachers to PED, and this was the funding source that we used. So I would encourage you to keep some type of tracking system so you are aware of, even though your business office, I'm sure, does that for you, I would encourage you to keep something yourself. Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the terms. Now, those of you, and many of you in the session, you've been doing this for a while, so you're familiar with some of these terms, but I do want to just real quickly, those of you that might be new to this role, or maybe you're in a role that would not lend itself to know some of this, we're going to take a look at some of the terms that you will hear. So one thing is, what's the difference between parent engagement and parent involvement? So engagement includes working together in that parent-school relationship with ongoing communication and culturally responsive support. And again, this is a shared responsibility that is seeking what's best for academic success of students and families, both individually and collectively. So we've already kind of covered it, but I want to point this out again. Parent involvement. This includes activities that support the responsibilities for the academic success of students. So it involves participation in the programmatic activities that support the students' academic experience, as well as the parents' involvement in program decision making. So parent involvement, really helping them understand, what is our ESL program? Come learn about our bilingual program. So this could be something about, to help them in that process, or other types of programs or activities that would really get those EL parents involved in the program and just decision making in the district. Often these families don't feel like they have a voice. They may be limited in English potentially, and so, or in many other countries, the teachers is held at the highest regard, and so they just trust that we're going to do what's best, and we do our best to do that. But we want them to see, yes, you have a voice in our educational system, and we want you to be involved. So how can we get those parents involved? So what is meant by family literacy services and family outreach and training? So family literacy services could include or integrate the following. So interactive literacy activities between the parent and child. So the question in the chat box of it, could we have, an activity where it was reading books in Spanish? So it could be that you have an opportunity you have books in Spanish or books in whatever language it is, or in English, and you have a reading night but it's specific for our EL families, and they come and they're reading to their child, and maybe even it's that the teacher models, reading aloud and asking those questions. And so the parents learn how to read aloud to their student, or to assist their student while they're reading, and then what are the types of questions that they can ask as a follow-up. So almost us giving them a little mini lesson training on reading with their child or reading to their child. Training and parenting activities. Literacy training that leads to economic self-sufficiency. So teaching adults to read, helping them learn to read and write in English. Age-appropriate education to prepare children for success in school and life experiences. So this may even be, for your older students and their families, helping them with, hey, you're going to be graduating soon. Here are some life skills that you need to know. And that in the same time could help the families. Family outreach and training. This provides parents with the required parent and family literacy services, activities, and trainings needed to improve English language skills. So these services enhance the academic achievement of ELs and immigrant students and their families. Here are some other terms, and this is just a list of, what's English language proficiency? Who are the ELs? I like to explain it like this. So in PEIMS, the LEP code, Limited English Proficient, that's an indicator that we can turn off and on. But the EL is the kid. That is the student that is participating in a program, may or may not. We do have students that are not participating in our programs. ESC, that's us, the Education Service Center. ESSA, that is referring to the Every Student Succeeds Act. And then fiscal agent, immigrant, LEA. Often I do get questions about what's LEA? That is the local education agency. That's you. That's the district or the charter school. Needs assessment. What does that mean? What is a shared service arrangement? You guys have heard me say that. And this gives you a little bit of information. And many of you on this or in this session today are a part of that SSA. Who are stakeholders? And then what does supplant and supplement mean? So I wanted you to have this, even though you can go to the website, you will have access to this presentation later as a quick access to kind of remind yourself, oh, what does that mean? Especially if you're not in a role where it would lend itself to know these things. Okay, so let's take a look at some engagement activity examples and resources. And we're getting near our point where we're going to move into a breakout room. Okay, so we've already seen this image before. This gives you all three separate activities. And we're first going to take a look at that parent outreach part. So parent outreach and trainings, when you click on that green box, it's going to expand and show you an example. So having a parent meeting, discussing the benefits of the bilingual program is one of the examples. Okay, going back again, what is parent outreach? I'm not going to read this to you again, but you can see it just, again, it's telling us what does that mean? And then here are some examples of parent outreach as well when we're looking at virtual engagement, because many of us were facing that right now. As you know, you're not coming to the ESC to get this training, and I'm actually training to you from home because I'm on quarantine and I'm fine. Nothing is wrong with me. I just happened to be in contact with someone at work that came down with COVID. So anyway, we have to find alternative ways to carry out these activities. And last spring when we shut down, that many of you had things that were planned and they didn't get to happen. But now we have the opportunity to really make this into something more. I think there's a silver lining in all of this, and that we can reach more families. Gabriel and I can reach more teachers and LEAs by doing things virtually, because many of you are an hour and a half away from us at the ESC. So just think about all the opportunities to move virtual. And so here you can see some examples, how to use Google Classroom, how to use Zoom. If you're a Canvas district, teaching your families how to use Canvas. Now, you may already be doing that for everyone, but if you make this a separate activity for your English learner families, then that would count. Having a virtual book club, and then having a parent resource showcase. So showing families all the different resources that you have available to them, and that your students, your EL students have available. We will share a few resources that we have where the hope is that you'll take what we have created and you include that in your resources, and that you turn those things around in your LEA and share those with your families. So face-to-face, what could some of these activities look like? The parent outreach, you could host a cultural event at a location that's convenient and comfortable for those families. An idea is tell your language story. This event allows parents to share their stories about their language journey. Parents can prepare the presentation, describe how their language is tied to culture. You could even have them potentially video themselves and put that in a presentation. And then parent trainings. So parent trainings to increase English language skills, academic performance, and become active participants in the education of the children. And this could address increasing awareness of the resources, so they know all the resources in your LEA. So the resource roundup, this event can offer sessions to showcase different programs, things like, what is TELPAS or TELPAS, however you want to say it? Why do my kids have to participate in that? What about STAR? What are other resources? So really help your families understand what linguistic accommodations are. What are potential designated supports their student might receive? Or if you have an EL that is participating in special education or under the 504, what ideas and what ways could you share with your families? Hey, I know your student also participates in this, and maybe those programs also come together to support this. Also, computers or tablets that potentially be available for parents to practice accessing those resources. during that training. And then for parents that are not able to attend, having that copy of resources to be sent home. So much like when I provide sessions, whether they're based on compliance or instruction, even if my participants don't attend, if they register, they get my follow-up email with those resources. And so, what ways can you, even though you don't have anyone show up, how can you still follow up? So you choose, you're going to have something virtually or you're going to do something face to face, but no one shows. Well, have plan of how can we still provide all of these resources and this information out to the families. Do you have a YouTube channel in your district? Do you have a Google site for these families? What do you have as a place that they know they can go to and still access this information? We want to make it as easy as possible for our families. And then we already saw this image, but some of the virtual engagement events could be, again, that Google Classroom or Zoom or Canvas or Seesaw, whatever platform your LEA uses, a book club or that resource showcase. And these are just ideas. It's definitely not an exhaustive list. I'll be excited to see about some of the things that you come up with, because what I'll do is, based on your ideas that you put in the Padlet, I'm going to pull them all together and kind of filter through them to make sure they are allowed, those do count. And then I'm going to create a resource document for all of you, and we'll post it on our website where you can go to this and you can see all the ideas. So your work today is really going to help many others. It won't just be for you today, it'll be for you and beyond. We really want to create a type of resource where those of you can come and you can see other ideas. Okay, so now we have entered our time to move into our breakout room. So we're going to be in there for 20 minutes, and I will check in to the rooms. And if it's, you guys are done, then we'll probably shorten the time. But the 20 minutes is to explore the resources in Padlet for parent outreach. So when you get into the Padlet, you're going to see each of those three requirements there, but we're only looking at parent outreach because we're going to move to those other ones as well. And then in your collaboration room or your breakout room, you're going to discuss and record ideas in the Padlet for parent outreach. Okay, so you have resources, and then you have a column that says parent outreach. We're only on the parent outreach one. So here in just a minute, I'm going to put the link to the Padlet in the chat box, or you can use your smartphone to follow the QR code. And then I want you to make a note of when you get sent to the breakout room, what room number you were. Okay, so once I send everyone, then you will need to just make note, oh, that was room number 1, because we're going to come back together and I'm going to say, okay, room number 2, or could you share some of the feedback that you received in yours. Also, turn your camera on if possible, just because when you go into a breakout room, there's only a few people, and if possible, it's much easier to sit and talk to someone instead of talking to a screen with a name. So if possible, please turn on your camera. Introduce yourselves. So your name, your district or charter, and your position. That way those in the room know who you are. And we will go into this, we will use the same group each time. So you won't have to reintroduce yourself. We'll be with the same people. Once you get in there, determine the roles. Who's going to be the projector? Who's going to share their screen? Okay. Who's going to be the Padlet scribe? So who's the one in charge of going into Padlet and entering your ideas? Who's the timekeeper? And who will be the group reporter? So at the end, when we come back, who will report out? Okay. You're going to set your timer for 5 minutes if you're the timekeeper to explore resources for the topic. So once you move through all the way through number 3, you have introduced yourselves, and 4, you've got your roles. Whoever the timekeeper is, everybody's going to stay in the room, but you're going to put 5 minutes on your phone or somewhere, and that will be the opportunity to go look at the resources. When the timer goes off, you'll come back together. The scribe is going to enter ideas in the Padlet under that corresponding heading or column. And then any questions that come up, you can put that at the very end. You'll be able to toggle to the right. There will be a Q&A column, and you can put your questions there. And then as I mentioned earlier, please keep your Padlet tab open because we will go back to this at least 2 or 3 more times. So you want to have that open. Sometimes people use a different browser. So I'm in Safari right now, and sometimes I might use my Chrome browser, or many people too will minimize the Zoom screen and kind of squeeze it together and then open up another window. So I'm sure most of you are probably pros at this now, considering we've been doing this for months as far as attending PD and managing everything else. All right, so I'm going to minimize real quick and open up our breakout rooms. So if you'll give me just a minute. So what's going to happen is these are just randomly assigned. We have 37 people right now in. It's going to put us, it's just going to randomly put you in rooms, and about 4 to 5 people per room. Please know that once I create the rooms, it's just going to send you there. And I'm going to set the time for 20 minutes. I will peek in. I will also keep the main room, open, so you can, if you need me, you can come back and if you have any questions. But if you haven't done so, maybe take a picture of the slide just so you have that. And then also let me get the link to the Padlet for you in the chat box so you have that. Okay, so here you go. There's the Padlet link. I don't know about you. I'd much rather do it on my computer than my phone, but either way, whatever works best for you. So there's the Padlet link. Take a picture of this slide if you need to, so you remember what the directions are. Remember, we're only looking at parent outreach. Okay. All right, so I'm going to send you all to your rooms, and I'll pop in. Please know that when I pop in, you don't have to address me. I'm just checking on you, listening, because I like to hear what's going on, because then it gives me ideas and it helps me kind of drive the rest of the session. So please know that when I come in, you do not have to address me. I'm listening in and listening to the conversation, much like you would as a teacher, right? You peek in when you walk around, or virtually just listening into student conversation. But also know that if you want to ask me something, that you can as well. All right. So here we go. Real quick, let me just peruse these to make sure I have everybody that I need in there. Please know that my assistant is in here with attendance, and so she's being put in one, as well as Gabriel, but they probably will not join. I don't know. We'll see. Gabriel, you're welcome to join if you want to. Angie, I know you won't join. So just want you guys to know if Angie or Gabriel's name, or that you think it pops up on there, that they're technically may not actually join yours. All right. Okay. Let me make sure I have us in for 20 minutes. All right, here we go. Hey, did it kick us out?
I
Did it,
left because my people couldn't share their screen, which probably means nobody can. Do you want to go in the settings and see if screen sharing is disabled?
let me see. Um, okay, so now I have no rights anymore.
Was Angie the host? Because
No, I was, but I can't see anything in here.
I show you as the host still when I go to the participants.
I can't even get to, okay, now I can, hold on. And we're being recorded. So just so you know.
Okay.
Um,
You don't pause the recording when you send them to breakout rooms?
because I forget.
Ah,
Been known to forget.
well, I'm not criticizing. I always set a timer.
Yeah, well, I'm not as skilled as you, I guess.
No.
I don't know why they can't share their screens because I'm gonna go into some of the rooms to see, because now that I've already sent them, I don't have access to the settings that I know of on breakout rooms. But whenever I sent them, everything was checked. So I'm not sure. But I'm gonna peek in. I like to go and I would encourage you to do the same. I just go in to each one and just like I don't talk or turn on my screen unless they ask me, and then just listening to the conversation.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you able to go in and listen to some of the conversations?
I only went back to my room because that was the only one I was able to. I don't
Oh,
have the ability to jump between them.
oh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I had to leave for like 10 minutes because my wife was in the shower and my son was having issues with his school, and then there was a meltdown anyway, but it all got taken care of.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, people will be coming back here in just a bit. Okay, so rooms are closed. We should be all coming back. So while you guys are coming in, I am going to actually minimize again, and I want to show you or go to the Padlet so you can kind of see the resources that have come from this work or ideas. If you don't mind, in the chat box, those of you that have made your way back, let me know, was that 20 minutes a sufficient amount of time to do this work? Just let me know, yes, no, need more time, less time, just so I can get a general idea, because we're going to move to the next two parts as well. And I want to make sure that you have, um, either sufficient time or if we don't need that much time. So it was good. Okay. And of course, the next go around, you don't have to introduce yourselves or establish rules again. You'll already know what to do and get straight to the work. And I was able to go into each room and just listen in to the conversations to gain some just understanding of what's going on out in the LEAs and some of the great things that you're doing. And that's the thing. There's so many good things happening that I don't know about and that you don't know about. And so that's the hope, is that we can capture all of these ideas in this grouping. Okay, so I see some people have already added some stuff in the community participation section. We're really going to try to. That's great, but we're going to make our way to those other parts eventually. Right now, we just finished our parent outreach. So if you haven't had the opportunity to just peruse through some of the different activities that were on here, I'm not going to sit here and read them all to you, but just I'm going to look through all of these following our session just to make sure the ones that were entered are allowable or that actually meet that requirement, I should say. And then again, like I said, we will curate a document that has everything on there. So this is easy access. And then of course you have this Padlet as well. Okay. All right, awesome. So we're going to move on just for the sake of time, because I want you, the goal is to provide as much collaboration time for you guys as possible in each of these areas. Okay, so now we're going to move to family outreach and literacy services. One of the examples you can see is you click on that little orange box. It expands and gives an idea of family literacy night. And those were some of the conversations I did here. How to foster bilingual language skills and language complexity at home. Just remembering, if you already do that as a district, making sure that is a separate activity for this group of students. I'm not going to go back through what family outreach is, but just remember that is another separate activity that we should engage in. So some of the ideas we've already talked about, but just that interactive literacy activity between a parent and a child. I think it's so important to train and coach our parents. We're all educators, so we know naturally what to do, but some parents may not, and they will not, because that's not what they do. And many are very busy, whether it's working or they have multiple children, or just life in general. It's very helpful if we can coach them. So that I think would be so meaningful to help our families. Training and parent activities, that literacy training, as far as teaching adults to read, and then age appropriate education to prepare our children, our students for success in school and life. Some other, and I'm sorry, this is a little bit blurry. Some of the examples were the family literacy night, the family cultural fair, and a virtual family field trip. Another idea that I would like to share with you is when I was still on a campus, I used to do a taste of the world, and it was specifically for my EL families, and they would bring all the different foods from their countries, and we would have a parade through the school where the students would wear, maybe their customary clothing, or maybe just carrying their flag. And so just another idea to really bring in our family, that family outreach, and really highlighting their culture, and showing that we value that and it's important to us. And then in family virtual field trips, there are lots of things out there, as you probably have come across when we shut down this spring, that a lot of different zoos and aquariums and different places throughout the United States and beyond were offering virtual trips. And so just thinking, what are some other things that we have access to that would be helpful? Face-to-face engagements, again, we've already talked about a little bit of this, but just those book club meetings, could it be that, oh, well, let me back up a little bit. So this could include, sending out monthly newsletters to families of ELs with literacy strategies and ideas that could be implemented at home. This is something that Gabriel and I, mainly Gabriel, have been working on. We've done 2 so far that have rolled out, that were newsletters that you guys could just flip around. So we did it through S'more, and then we did another newsletter that was PDF that you could share out. And those were meant to be another resource for you to be able to share. But prior to this session, we had a conversation about removing the month date on there. So maybe making it where it's a fall newsletter, spring newsletters, and that way it doesn't matter, or maybe we removed any kind of timestamp. That way you can flip those around and use those at any time in the year. So we will continue doing those, and Gabriel will share more when we get to the end of the session as well. We're going to talk about some videos as well. Hosting monthly literacy events at the library, whether it be a local library, the campus library, or a community center. And partnering with maybe a community member with the family of an EL for structured literacy activities conducted in English or the family's primary language. I know several of you on this call or in this session are the parent liaison, and you may happen to speak another language. And so providing that support in the primary language and helping them understand the value of that. Book club meetings, so meeting with community members prior to the book club and training them on the role of being a mentor. How do you select grade appropriate books? Parents may not realize that it's kind of like TV, right? It has the age, what's appropriate. Well, books are the same. We really we don't want, even though we have an advanced reader, we may not want them to read a book that my high schooler is reading because of the sensitive information or content that's in there. During the meetings, just providing that time for partnership. And then that last one, Writing for Life, considering a language appropriate survey to parents of ELs to determine their real world writing needs, whether it be work applications, college essays, email communication with school staff and community leaders. So helping them understand what do I expect for school, what to expect with schools in the US? How do I communicate? Can I email them? Can I call? And just having that opportunity. And then the final one, just again, talking about hosting cultural events at the local community center, public library, or another location. And these events could showcase foods, music, dance, traditions, just think of ways to really, again, highlight and their culture, and to show them that you mean something to our community, we value, and not only that, it really expands the knowledge of everyone when we learn more about different cultures. some of the virtual events, literacy, cultural fair, and field trips. So those virtual event one pagers, when we go into this section of the resources, when you click on those, you'll be able to take a look at that. Now, today, we're not gonna, during those 5 minutes, you likely won't have time to see everything, but you will know where to go now, where you have an opportunity to really look at all of the resources that have been brought about. And I must say that I've been excited since I have moved to this role at the Service Center that TEA is continuing, this division, the EL support division, is continuing to roll out more and more resources for us, which is so helpful because then, that helps me at the ESC. It helps you where you're not having to, reinvent the wheel. There's lots there for us. Okay, so that was quick. So now we're going to move back out into a breakout room. And remember, we're going to family outreach and literacy. And so it's important that we stay within those columns. I know many of you have started putting things in other ones, but I really want to, I get it if you're finished early and you want to move on, but really wanting to try to, it's kind of like students, we want them to stay in that, what we're talking about. So I really want to stay in this family outreach and literacy. What are you doing to address that requirement? Again, if you're the timekeeper, set that timer for 5 minutes so the group can explore the resources for that topic. And then our scribe will enter the ideas in Padlet under that heading or column. Again, the Q&A section is for your questions, and then do not close out that tab because we will come back to it. All right, so I'm going to move us back to our breakout rooms. Before I move to the breakout rooms, any questions? Any questions that you guys I can answer before we move into this that pertain to what we're about to do? If you have a question that can go in the Q&A, then please put that there. But if there's anything I can address before we move into this breakout room, any questions that came up during just navigating, please let me know. Okay. All right, we are going to stick with the 20 minutes. However, I am going to make my way back through all of the breakout rooms as you're moving through. So someone, just real quickly, I know that I'd asked a few of you if you were able to share your screens in the breakout rooms, and most of you were. If you were not able to share your screen, all of you have the right to. So I honestly do not know why you're not able to. I did go into a breakout room where they were sharing their screens. So I apologize if that is you and you cannot share your screen. No worries, we don't have to share a screen. Just thought it would make it easier. But I would encourage you, if that's your group, no one in there can share, then just make sure you all have that window open and are kind of following along. So I apologize for that, and I'll figure out if there's something I did on my end. All right, so here we go back to our breakout rooms. All right, so I will see you back in 20 minutes. And again, I will be checking on all of you and coming in. And if I do see that we're moving quicker than we were before, then we'll minimize that time. All right, here we go. Hola, Evelinda. I thought I sent you to a room, but I'm not sure. Are you seeing where you can join a breakout room? Okay. Hey guys, I'm sorry I abruptly brought you all back. Or when I came in this morning, I was like, "Oh, we won't be here till noon," and I just wanted to make sure that I moved more quickly through. And I know most of you were already, as I've kind of moved through the rooms, you were moving on. So I apologize for cutting off the conversations and moving us on so we can get to the next one because we have another breakout room. So I encourage you to at the end, I'm going to ask for your feedback. Although we'll have TEA's training that they present to us to share, we'll see how that is, but it'll be good to know your feedback as far as doing this virtually. And should I have different collaboration breakout rooms for each of these, or should it be all in one? So I'd encourage you to give me feedback, and we'll see what TEA presents to us to share moving forward. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on. If you are still adding things in the Padlet based on your group, then please, you're fine. Continue to do that. So now we're to our final one, the community participation programs. And when you click on that purple box, it'll expand and give some information about post-secondary education. And one of the ideas is having a financial aid officer share information about scholarships and FAFSA. So I'm excited to hear some of the ideas that are out there. I will tell you, peeking in on each of your rooms has made me really miss being in district, just because there's so many great things going on, and sometimes we don't have the opportunity at the ESC to, like I said, to hear about all of that and to be involved in that. So you're always welcome to invite me. If I can come, I will come, because it is definitely, I definitely miss being around, students and being in district. All right. So I'm not going to go back through all of these things extensively because we've talked about it, but just again, looking at that community partnership, that involves our ELs, parents, and family members. And some of those opportunities for virtual engagement could be a workforce night, workforce solutions. I may be saying the name wrong, but there are lots of other resources out there to support this work. A community service project or a community resource fair. So bringing in, your local, health clinics or dentist. Considering how could you bring in those groups, and again, it must be specific for our EL families. If you're already doing that, for everyone, then we need to think of a way, how can I make this a separate event for this to count? That relationship building programs, that we're intentionally bringing these groups together. So our community members, our district and charter school staff and members, as well as our families. So hosting that community service fair, consider sending language appropriate surveys to the parents to determine what do they need. What are they, especially if they're new to the country, maybe they're refugees, asylees, or unaccompanied minors. And maybe they've been living in a refugee camp and they don't even know what's out there for them. So just consider all of your groups of ELs, because you have a wide range of English learners. We have English learners that are maybe in that situation as a refugee, but you have English learner families all the way to their parents are working for Toyota and Motorola. They're working at a high level. It's just they haven't acquired English yet. So remember, you've got a wide range of families and needs, and we want to make sure that we are not, just assuming that all of our families need one particular thing, because our ELs, their families' needs and what they're coming with is very, it's a wide range. Also visiting local agencies, so scheduling visits to local community agencies that would benefit ELs and their families. So thinking about your community organizations that help with food or clothing or any other needs. Adult ESL classes and service providers. Local agencies offering free advising services to help students apply to college, find financial aid, and answer questions about college process. TCC, as I've mentioned, they're a great resource to you with lots of things that could be helpful. And as I mentioned, things like food banks and other family service agencies, working closely with your counseling department. If you're in Tarrant County, Catholic Charities is another organization to utilize. And, I will, here in a little bit, I'm going to go into the Padlet, and I'm going to add a column that says like local agencies. And again, whatever, if you put something in there in parentheses, please put your county, if you're Tarrant, Parker wise, because that may not be a service for everyone. So Catholic Charities, they, provide Tarrant services to Tarrant County. But again, I'm going to add another column. And so if you know of organizations that would be helpful, please put that there. But again, include the area that they would be providing or what county you're in, because I've heard some great ideas, but they may not service other areas. Okay. Partners in education, thinking about how can we provide that educational to support to ELs and their families. The big thing, and if you are a district level leader, RDA, the results driven accountability, a big piece is about graduation rates for ELs. And so how are we campaigning to reach 100% graduation rates for our ELs? Consider, creating some type of local business groups, representatives along with district leaders and secondary ELs, and developing partnerships with those local business organizations to really support and increase graduation rates. So students know there's something for you. You don't have to go to college. You can go to a trade school, or you can go straight into the workforce. And so really building those partnerships with your secondary schools and students along with community members, and really thinking about what are some ways that we can, across the community, bring everyone together. So it could include donating money to offer scholarships for ELs. It could be adding school information to newsletters and bulletins, hiring ELs or their families, using their voice and influence to encourage ELs and their family members to complete their education and pursue post-secondary opportunities. And there's also an idea of a mobile public library, online resources for English learning. USA Learns is one, Voices of America. I'll make sure too that I put in the Padlet, there are some resources that I share out for secondary or adult learning as well that are free, online places that community members can go to learn English, but also to get an idea about, how do I manage money? How do I apply for or fill out an application? So I'll make sure that I include that as well. Okay, so there's that. Any direct services that you can provide. So, that local librarian, inviting the local librarian to come and speak. So it's not, the school may be closed, but the local library is open. So making sure that, our families know about this. So if you're having a Zoom, a Zoom offering activity, could you invite the local librarian to come on and, encourage them to come and get a library card, let them know the hours of that the library is open. I know for me as a child, the local library was a safe haven for me. I went there a lot, and that may make me nerdy, but I, as a child, really found refuge going into the library. So thinking of other ways. Oh, the Texas Workforce Commission, I said it wrong earlier, but inviting them to come and talk to ELs and walk them through the online resources, have them come virtually, and help them, understand, hey, what careers can I have? And looking at their skills or their dream job and pay. Again, going back to working with your local counselors, they will be a great resource to you as far as what can we do to support our ELs. And also as a reminder, these programs may be provided during the school day. There does not have to be an event that's scheduled after school. So, if you could do this during the daytime as well. There are lots of opportunities and lots of organizations that are waiting and willing to come in and help. So the virtual event one-pagers, again, that resource fair, the workforce night, or service projects. And now we're back to our collaboration room. So I am going to move it down to 15 minutes. And that way we can move on. I know a lot of you have started putting things in this section, but again, just remember, we are going to go to the community outreach part. So if you're the timekeeper, put 5 minutes on to allow the opportunity for everyone to explore those resources, and then coming back together and the scribe going into Padlet. And as you guys are discussing ideas, being able to put those in. If you finish early, then I would encourage you, this is our last column, but I would encourage you to go through and explore what other responses have been, not only in this column, but our other columns as well. Okay. Also, don't close out the Padlet because I want you to have the opportunity to put in questions. Please know that today I will not be able to go in. During the live session and answer the questions, but following our session, I will work on answering any questions that you put in. And when I send you the follow up email, you're going to have this link. Please save it somewhere, bookmark it so you have that available. All right. So before we move into our final breakout room, I think we actually have one more breakout room. So don't hold me to that. I can't remember now. But if you will let me know in the chat if you have any questions before we move into this next one. Okay, any questions? Okay, you guys are pros at this now. All right, so here we go. I'm going to move you back into your same breakout rooms. And I hope too that I would encourage you to, if you want to exchange information with those in your group. It's all about collaboration, and it's so nice to be able to reach out to another LEA, to say, hey, tell me more about what you're doing for this or that. So I would encourage you to exchange information. So if you want to, you could reach back out. Okay, so we're gonna bump this down to 15, and I will see you in a bit. Okay, welcome back. I brought us all back a little bit early because as I listened to some rooms that you guys were finishing early, so I thought I would go ahead and bring us back together. So again, I apologize if you were um, deep in conversation or using the Padlet. Continue to post. I did notice also a lot of the postings. I get notifications every time someone posts, so those were kind of slowing down. I want to honor your time because I know many of you are very, very busy. I wanted to be able to move on. So glad you're all returning. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to make sure they get back in. Okay, I think everybody's back to the main room now. Awesome. Again, thank you so much for just taking the opportunity to collaborate with people in your group and then working together to add ideas in the Padlet. I'm excited to be able to read through all of those and curate a document for you guys that will be just a spot for you to go and see all the different ways that you can offer these services to meet these requirements. Now we move to the planning tool. This planning tool it's not a requirement, but it is something to use as evidence that you did take the step or take the initiative to plan these activities. But it's also a great way to come together and collaborate, not only just within your department as far as bilingual ESL or a campus, just bringing all stakeholders together. It's also a great way to reflect and go back and look at what are areas that we can improve on. What didn't work? Why didn't it work? And so this is just something that I want to share with you. Many of you are familiar with it from the previous years. Know that they've done a better job, TEA, with making it one. So if you participated in my face-to-face training last year, all of these tools were in separate places. There were 3 separate trainings. And I know me personally, some of my feedback to TEA was, I don't understand why it's not all together. And so I guess they heard our voices, and that's why you see this great resource here is an all-in-one planning tool as well. So the planning tool has 4 phases, and we're going to real quickly just take a look at that. So phase 1 is the needs assessment. You'll notice if you remember last year's, it did look like this, but it didn't have the parent, family, and community all together. And so here now I can take a look at my 3 requirements that I need to do, and I can start planning. So phase 1 is really the needs assessment. What based on your current demographics and current EL needs, what do we need to offer? So when you're thinking about the community or you're thinking about literacy, what are some of the struggles? Maybe you even take a look at your TELPAS data. Where are students struggling? Is it in the listening and speaking? Should we offer some opportunities in literacy to support that? So really maybe even looking at, your local, or your district data as far as state assessments and other curriculum assessments, and what's the need? What are our families and students struggling with? So that's phase 1. And this is just a screenshot. And when you do get this presentation, you'll be able to click and it'll take you to that document. And then phase 2, which is so the phase 1 is 1 document. And just know that when you get in there, when you scroll to the bottom, there is it'll say go to phase 2 or something to that effect, and you'll need to click there to get to the 2nd document. So just know that it is not a phase 1 through 4 document. It's phase 1 and then 2 through 4. So here's phase 2. This is the engagement planning tool, and really looking at what's the planning and preparation to prepare us. And there's great information here on what's the engagement type, what are some supplemental activities, and some guiding questions to move us through. I didn't point out in the other one, but you can see here where you can document what the LEA's name, the academic year, and who completed it. And again, completing this is another part of your evidence. Okay, so you have taken the initiative, and you may have your own local tool that you use, but just know that this is more evidence to support should your district or charter school be random validated by TEA. Phase 3 is the implementation and evaluation. part. So, looking at, each event that you provided, looking at feedback. So make sure that when you do offer any of these activities that you get your family's feedback. Ask them, maybe if it's in Zoom, set up a Zoom poll. And you can, when you set up a Zoom poll, all of that data goes into reports in your under your Zoom profile, and you can pull all of that, and you can generate a report where you can see what the feedback was. Or do you do it through Google, whatever it may be, but make sure you get their feedback. Let their voices be heard to know what worked and what didn't work. So there's that piece of it. And then finally, phase 4 is communication of those outcomes. So, you recording and sharing the outcomes, of the data, whether it be, with your stakeholders, like how did, we did these activities, we've evaluated what happened, and this is how we're going to move forward. Okay, so we are going to move into the breakout room, but I'm not keeping you in there 15 minutes. I'm going to do 10 minutes, and just real quickly, I want you to be able to look at the planning tool, discuss whether or not you use it. If you don't use it, what do you use? So you can share with those in your group, and and any ideas that you may have about the planning tool. Okay, or ways to use the planning tool. So not long. We're going to stay in there even less this time, just because I want you to have opportunity to look at it. So don't feel like you have to put 5 minutes on the clock to actually look at the planning tool. I encourage you guys, if you're able to share your screen, maybe one of you share it, look through, or you individually look at it and just come back together and just talk about, yeah, we do use it, we don't use it, here's what we do. Okay. I'm going to send us back. This time, again, we're staying in there 10 minutes. If you find that your group is done, you're welcome to come back to the main room. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit.
Robin, can you hear me? I'm going to see if I can get you back into your breakout room. I'm going to...
Hi, Gabriel. I've sent her back twice. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, okay.
I think she keeps leaving and coming back. I'm not sure what's going on, but I've put her back into her breakout room.
Okay.
Thanks, Gabriel. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Okay, so we should be trickling back in. Those of you that are already back in the main room, I know that we've had the opportunity to use the Padlet to ask questions, but I also want to give you time now. So if you're already back in and you have some questions, feel free to go back to the Padlet underneath that Q&A part and enter your questions. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to answer questions on the spot right now, but following our session, I will go through the questions and answer. If I can't answer them, then I will put something underneath saying, more information to come or need to reach out to TEA, etc. So, but you will have access to this Padlet. It's not going to go away. And I'll send the link to in the follow-up email as well. Okay, so it looks like we're all back in. Okay, so I'm going to move on, but again, if you have questions, you can go to the Padlet and ask in that column. I want to share some resources. Gabriel and I actually will share some resources with you. And these were created with you in mind, or with you thinking about the ease of use. So the first one is on our ESC Region 11 English Learner English Learner Support page. We have a parent support section. Please know that, and I say this, I think, every time to the directors that are in here, is it's a work in progress. I still am trying to find some more time to refine it. But as you can see in this image with the green circle around it, we do have some resources there to help your parents. So the first one is our recent new addition for the newsletters that are there. And then there's English language resources, newcomer and refugee parents, as well as if you have families that have adopted, that's another section that can help those. Bilingual ESL programs, reading tips, helping at home, etc. So that is a place for you to go. Also, we have a YouTube playlist for parents, and there I have added any videos that I come across, maybe from Color in Colorado, or anything else that would be helpful to parents. I've added them to our playlist. Our hope, and in just a little bit, Gabriel will share, our hope is to eventually get some videos made, but we have that YouTube playlist for parents. Also, our newsletters. So I'm going to stop real quick and just let Gabriel share a little bit about the vision of our newsletters, as well as potential parent support videos.
All right.
Are you there, Gabriel? Unless it's my internet, I'm not seeing you. Seems like a lot of us are having connection issues today. So I don't know if I lost him or what happened. While I'm waiting for him to come back in, I will share a little bit about the newsletters. So as I mentioned earlier, it's just been great to have someone else, because I have had this wish list of things that I've wanted to do and just haven't had the time to do it. And so not only that, Gabriel is fluent in Spanish, and my Spanish is, it's just okay. So we have these English Learner Parent Support newsletters through Smore, where you can share them digitally, or if you want to use the PDF version that we've had created, then you can share them that way too. So the idea really was, let me make sure that Gabriel's not in the waiting room. Hold on. The idea was that there are different modalities and different ways you could share it out. So whether it was on Twitter or Facebook or however, then you would have that option. And so that, therefore, we have that digital way, but then we also have these. And as I mentioned earlier, we had a conversation prior where we're going to remove that timestamp, so to speak. That way they can be used over and over. They can be used at any time of year. And so we will work on getting those fixed, and we'll continue doing those. I don't know that they will be monthly, just because I think that was the goal in the beginning, but I do 2 s'mores as it is. Gabriel does another one, and so it just becomes a lot. So I don't know that we'll do them monthly, but we'll do them still pretty, at least 2 to 3 times a month, if not more. Okay. And then our English learner parent support site, that is a place, a Google site where, again, a lot of the information that you'll find on our webpage can also be found there, links to the YouTube channel. And that's another, it's a work in progress. I mean, it's a living document. And as I come across things, I add and will continue to add. I see Gabriel is back in. Gabriel, are you able to do your video now and share? Okay, I'm still not seeing Gabriel, so I'm not sure what's going on. So I'll move on to the final one. The other wish of mine is to do parent support videos. And the idea would be to model for parents how to read to their child or to help them with homework, or just a real quick tool to use, just real quick something. Now we would do them in English, and then we would do them in Spanish. I would love to offer them in Vietnamese as well, but we don't have anybody at the service center that speaks Vietnamese. So those are our main bilingual programs out in Region 11. But if you guys, if any of you have videos that you use and you are willing to share with everyone, then send them to me. Get approval from your district or your charter school. Send them to me, and we will, share those for everyone. But that is where we're headed. Is we want to be able to have something real quick that you can share, whether you're doing it virtually and you share with the parents, or we have a portal or something. So there's lots on the horizon. This is really a goal of mine, to continue building this piece out. And so please be watching for more to come. Like next year, there'll be more, and we'll just continue to add. I'll give Gabriel another opportunity. I see he's back in. Gabriel, are you able to unmute and talk?
Yes.
Awesome.
We don't know for how long, because I was kicked out twice right as I began to talk. From what I did hear, I think Melanie already covered everything that I would have said. Our goal is to have the newsletter out monthly, but I think I heard Melanie say that isn't always possible. So we're shooting for bi-monthly at the very least. And we just want to offer consistent tools, because I think we can agree virtual learning isn't going anywhere for certainly the remainder of this year. Very likely, if not for, it'll be around next year as well. So we want parents to be empowered in that manner, but we also want them to be empowered personally. And we also want that to just be really easy, where they can hit the bit.ly, hit the QR code, see some very easy but high leverage resources for them, so that they do feel like they are the vital component in their children's education, right? Because as Melanie said earlier, a lot of parents, they assume, rightly so, that we're doing the best we can for their kids, right? And that maybe that's not their lane, but we want it to be their lane because they are the primary drivers of that. So I don't want to repeat things that Melanie has already said, so I'm going to leave it at that. And I do apologize. Spectrum is the worst.
Thanks, Gabriel. Yeah, we have lots in mind, and we just want to make it really, and poor Gabriel, he has to hear me, come back and say, let's do this. I want to do this. But a lot of it is I just want to make it easier for you, because many of you, you're wearing multiple hats. You are a team of one. And I want whatever we provide to be something you can put on your website, you can email out, where you aren't really having to recreate anything. It's already made for you. So that's really what my objective is in doing a lot of this. And yes, empowering the families, because we want them to know you're valuable. You speaking another language at home, we want you to do that. We want you to do all those things, and just helping them understand that. So there's lots of great things to come. And in the newsletters too, we try to make it where there's different ways to access it. So whether it's the QR code, they may not know how to use a QR code. That could be another activity that you guys could do, because right now, moving digital, parents are struggling. When we were shut down, my husband and I are both educators. I'm pretty tech savvy and know most of the platforms. And even I sometimes would struggle with, oh, wait, what do we do here? So that's another offering that you guys could provide. How do you use QR codes? How do you use this or that? So we've tried to make it where it's a QR code or a link, whatever way. So however they're going to access it is easy. We don't want to make it more frustrating. So those are some of the things that are happening. Just know there's more on the horizon. We just, we just need more time, just like you do. So real quickly, if you've been in any of my sessions, you know that I post an impact measure. I just want to know, was the learning today impactful? Is it going to help you in your work? So I'm going to project that poll, and it's just 3 questions. So if you can answer those questions, they are pretty broad questions, but it just gives me an idea, how well do you understand what we've talked about today? What will you be able to put what we learned today into practice? And then finally, from your perspective, how valuable were the ideas that we talked about today, and how much will they help you improve? And I apologize that this is not, the official TEA presentation. But again, I just didn't want to cancel on 50 something people and make you change your schedules when we were allowed, we got permission just to continue on if we already had it scheduled. But again, I had to start from scratch, not having anything because the previous one wasn't applicable because the sites changed. So I do, apologize for that, but please know I will send all of you the presentation from TEA once they do release that. And then probably, I don't know if I'll re-offer it in the spring or wait until the fall again to do the new training. We're not really there yet. I'm not sure what'll happen, but we may offer it again, in the springtime with the new presentation. Just depends on what our schedules look like. Okay, so thank you to those that have voted, or not voted, but completed my survey. Gives me an idea what we can do better. Okay, I'm going to keep that poll up in case you're still doing that. Also, TEA encourages you to sign up for their listserv. And this, when you get this presentation, it's accessible here. It's at the very bottom when you go to the English Learner Support or the Supporting ELs in Texas, portal. At the very bottom, you can click there and sign up for their listserv and get any of that helpful information that pertains to ELs. And then finally, this is our information. And not our information. I apologize. It is the where you can access. You'll be able to access our Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook and you're not following our English Learner Support page, please do so, because I'm, as much as I can, I either share things that I come across or I'm putting things there, as well as Twitter. And then, as I've mentioned, we do have that YouTube channel with several different playlists. Gabriel and I record our sessions and we put them there. And the goal for us is to take a lot of those recordings, if they're good, clean recordings, and to make them make it where your teachers or you can register for those, and basically on demand. So you could register, watch the recording, do some reflection questions, and get credit. A lot of those, we have just the 1 hour sessions. Gabriel does a lot of sessions from 4 to 5. Mine don't tend to go that late, but a lot of them may go from 3:45 to 4:45. But we're trying to do our best to accommodate you, as long as also within what we can do, because both Gabriel and I only work till 4, and so we are trying to do our best to accommodate your teachers and you. So just know that we are looking towards offering some things where it's more on demand. You can register. You're going to click on a link that will take you maybe to a Google form, and within that Google form will be a recording of one of our sessions. There'll be some reflection questions, and then once you complete all of that, you will get credits. So that's what we're looking to do, because we know that your teachers are busy, you're busy, and honestly, we do know that what's been happening is our attendance has been dropping drastically, and we know also it's just the time of year. Other thing is we do have monthly compliance and instructional newsletters. So we have the EL Leader Toolkit, we have Succeeding in a Diverse Classroom, and Bilingual Professional Learning. So you can follow that QR code to sign up for all or one or two of those, as well as when you get this, you'll be able to follow that hyperlink to sign up as well. Most of you probably are already getting those, but that's there as well. And then when you get this presentation, each of these icons are hyperlinked where you can get more information. All right, so our time is up. I thought I would get you out sooner. I wasn't really sure how this would, how long it would go, considering had never been done before. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you spending the morning with us. Don't forget, go back to the Padlet if you will need to put more questions in, and then be watching for the follow-up email. Probably this afternoon or tomorrow, it'll be coming to you. And so again, we encourage you to reach out to us if you need anything. And again, just thank you so much for joining us.